Welcome back to another episode of Casual Master Quest. This is episode 107. Somebody did not change the show notes. That somebody is me. We are here today I'm your host for the episode, Nick, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Glenn.
Hello.
And Tyler is unfortunately not with us today. So this is going to be a nice, maybe shorter episode because we don't have the third person who usually takes us off on our long-winded trips, which has always been for the better. Like, I think we always come up with some very interesting stories, and then we all just go off on tangents
Maybe shorter, a little less entertaining, possibly.
Yeah. He will be missed today. But this is Casual Master Quest episode 107. Glenn, how's your week been?
It's been good. It's super hot. It's finally summer in Los Angeles.
What's that like?
Oh, let's get it. Let's do the conversion rate. Today it is Fahrenheit to Celsius. Here we go.
Yes.
So today minutes. Is about 35, 36
Jesus
degrees.
Fucking Christ. Holy shit.
So, yeah, it's hot. Like my bedroom, here you go. Yeah, like I told you, my bedroom is about 26, 27 degrees Celsius. For those of you who in the States who don't get Celsianese, I don't know how to say that. It's just Celsius. It's like 80 degrees in my bedroom and about 95, 96 outside. So it's finally summer in Los Angeles, which also probably means that our summer is going to push into probably October this year, which always sucks because the later it starts, the longer it goes. Right. But it's good. We hopefully summer will last for a little bit of time because, like we talked about last week, my wife and I are moving. Really excited about that.
Moving's a pain though. Like I get why you guys are excited, but moving's a fucking pain.
It's a pain, but it's a pain because of the place that you're coming from, more in my experience, rather than the place that you're going, but the good thing is, like I said before, our roommate Dylan is a fantastic carpenter and he brags all the time about he's never lost a deposit. So he's going to be back to get his stuff moved out whenever we get his situation figured out and we get that timing down. But then he's going to help us clean everything up and patch the walls where we hung stuff up and stuff like that and repaint a little bit. Technically, we don't have to repaint because I found out in the U.S., most states, if you stay in a place for 18 months, then the owner of the property is required to paint without charging you.
Yeah, normal.
So since
wear
we've
and
been
tear,
here for longer than that, they don't. Like if she goes, "Oh, I charged somebody to come in and paint," we can go, "No, you shouldn't have done that."
Well,
I mean, city code.
Yeah, no, she charged herself to get somebody to come and paint.
Mm-hmm. But you're not taking it out of our deposit. No, that's all that matters.
I mean, unless somebody was going around punching holes in the wall, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I totally never did that. No, but I'm excited because the new place has like its own thermostat. It's got overflow, central AC, double paned glass windows with like a center air bubble. Mm-hmm. That makes it both harder to break and more temperature resistant. So it'll hold heat or coolness a lot better. We're going to get a dog, which I'm just so,
Now,
I ran into a corgi the other day and I got the information about where she got them. And then I got real sad because it was $2,000.
I can't remember if you told that story on last week's episode or
about
the corgi
getting a dog. No.
Okay.
No.
Because I was gonna say that I know you told us about that, and I was wondering, and I'm not gonna be the guy. Okay, so where I'm coming from is, are you open to like adopting as well?
Yes.
Because I'm not gonna tell somebody that you should only adopt and don't get the dog that you want, but then like I would hope that at least a future dog owner would consider adoption because.
Oh yeah.
There's just so many.
Well. There's a bright and a dark side to it, and without going into too much detail, just for the people involved, somebody that I know that adopted an animal has been dealing with that animal attacking other animals.
Right.
And so the animal is a sweet thing. just the best. I love him. But he also just hates other animals. And so that's the hard part. Is the beautiful thing is that you've done a wonderful thing for an older dog that came from a bad place. But then what happens when your animal injures somebody to no fault of your own? Because she's done a wonderful job training him and bringing him to actual professional trainers to try and work with him on these problems. And, some of them just aren't sticking. So,
yeah, unfortunately, it's never easy to predict the kind of, because animals come over with their own baggage in the sense of like learned behaviors. And my sister and my dad, to replace me when I left home, got a dog. And I can tell you it was to replace me with confidence because they actually went and looked for him before I'd left, a few months before I left. And I woke up alone one day on a weekend. Nobody was home. This was strange. Nobody should, like, there should be people at home. I called them. They're like, oh yeah, we're at the pound. We're looking at dogs. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So you're looking for your dog. That's not my dog anymore, right? And they're like, yeah. Okay. So I'm not taking care of him. I had to take care of him, obviously. But he came with so much anxiety and separation anxiety that if my dad and my sister weren't at home, he would throw up. And so imagine me flying halfway across the world, coming home for the winter. Then my sister's off in India. My dad goes on a business trip and I'm here sitting with this dog who doesn't really care for me. He happens to pick me because he happens to pick me because I'm around. So he's like, okay, I have to get pets from somewhere. You'll do. I guess. He'll come to me. And then I remember twice it happened. Afternoon, get ready, showered, getting ready to go out, put on my bag. He's standing on my sister's bed, looks at me. I look at him and then he throws up. I'm like, all right, cool. I know where to keep you. I'm just going to pack all this up. I left it by the washrooms. Not my responsibility. I left. Yep. So yeah, it's a hard thing with adoption because you never know what's, unfortunately you never know what happened to the dog with its previous owners and what kind of like behaviors and behaviors it's carrying forward based on trauma, because they're all self-defense too, right? It's all mostly it's like learned behavior that they've been forced to like learn to like attack these creatures because you're a fighting dog now and I'm trying to make money off you, and if you don't, I'm gonna hit you, kind of shit, right? So it's just ingrained.
That's honestly what they think happened with this guy. He's a pit. He's so sweet, just lovey-dovey with humans, just the best boy. But just anytime he's around, dogs, he has a really hard time. So, and even my parents, like, sometimes if you adopt a dog that's younger and it's a breed that you normally jive with, like, because certain personalities get along better with different breeds because of the way that they were raised or bred to be. Right. And my family's always had German Shepherds, and
they're so beautiful.
So my parents, they found one, and he is the most majestic looking German Shepherd I've ever seen in my life. He's well over 100 pounds. Let's do this conversion real fast.
100 pounds is about 50 kilograms, 54, 52 ish.
You're going to be able to do this?
That I remember.
No. 45 kilograms.
A little bit off, yeah, because it's 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So I was going. Okay. I remember because when I used to power lift, everything was in pounds, and then my friend who I was going with and was kind of training me because we grew up in the same place, would like round it, like convert it down for me so that I could understand exactly how much I was able to lift, because we did like a mock test day where I was able to squat 285. No, I pushed 250.
250 in squat?
Yeah, after
pounds or kilograms?
250 pounds. I was like, I
was like, kilograms? My God, dude!
After a few weeks of training, I was able to push 250 pounds after a few weeks of training. My squats were like my best thing that I could do. Arms, not so much. But okay,
can I tell you a fun fact?
You can tell me your fun fact when I tell you about my friend who was training me, because I saw him squat 7 plates, Glenn. So that's
on each side.
So that's 14 times 45. 45 plus another 45 for the bar.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like watching.
That's almost 700 pounds.
Watching that bar bend and he was able to do, I think he did 2 in a row. Oh, it's like, it's insane. But anyways, yeah, that's the caliber of
I was
my
going
friend
to
who was
say
training
what
me.
I said, but like, man, that guy makes me like, my best squat ever, I think, was like 415.
Ooh, that's nice.
I deadlifted around 550. And when I was in my big, thick phases, when I busted my knee up when I lived in Hawaii, and I was like heavy lifting 8 hours a day, but no cardio, the theory we went with was high reps and high weight.
Right.
So I was doing like 6 sets of 15 at like 260 pounds on bench press.
Right.
So my bench press was over 250.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it was nuts. But I also spent a lot of time there, and I was also 275 pounds, like as a person. So I was huge. Anyway, back to dogs.
Yeah, back to dogs.
My parents also they adopted a German Shepherd who was like 9 months old. At the time, he was like 60 or 70 pounds, so pretty big. But he did get bigger. He's like 105 now. And but he like lived his whole life isolated by himself with this older man, and this older man had just died while the dog was around. And so as soon as my parents adopted him, he just latched on to my father. And when my dad wasn't there, or if he knew, so like sometimes they could trick him. They have a kennel in the basement where they stay because my dad's a softie and he won't let them sleep outside ever, even if it's nice. It used to be, it's like, oh, it's above freezing. Cool. They can stay outside because we had an insulated doghouse for them with a heat lamp in it and blankets. But like, so now they just sleep downstairs every night. My old puppy Hana, and his name is Caliber. He's wonderful. My favorite thing he does is he'll get a Kong. You know what a Kong is?
No.
Kong is it's a very, very, very rigid rubber toy that is hard to break, even for dogs with very strong bite strengths. But it's got a hole in it, so you can put like peanut butter or like treats in there, and then they have to like work to figure out how to get them out. It's a great time saver and like
keep them occupied
for a dog. Yeah. Sometimes you freeze them, like you put peanut butter in there and you freeze it inside, so they have to like actually work out frozen peanut butter. Anyway, he will he'll bite it and put it in his mouth, but it's like it slightly opens up larger on one end than it does on the other. So it's like a little megaphone, and he'll go, and then it like megaphones it. Anyway, but he like to a point where we had 2 baby gates on the stairs. He busted both of them down. And then he like tore at a door and like was ripping at the wood to try and get in my dad's bedroom because that's the room that smelled the most like him.
Right.
When they weren't there. And so basically anytime they left for the first like 6 months, they had to do it as quietly as possible. Otherwise, Caliber would realize that he was gone, and he would tear the house up to find him, throw up, poop everywhere. Like, so sometimes that's part of the thing is even if we do adopt, I want to get a puppy. For sure. I don't care to an extent what breed it is, really. I just want to get a puppy so that I can teach it
from the ground
the way
up.
Things are going to be, work with it, like honestly, if I had a lot of space and I was like retired and didn't do any work or anything like that, and granted my work that I do now is unpaid, so I might as well be retired. My work, yeah. Like if my wife and I moved back to the Midwest and we bought like 100-acre property and put a house in the middle of it, and then we put up nice fencing around the edge of it, I would adopt a crap ton of older dogs, right. Because they can their space, and I have time to work with them. Yeah. You're gonna be a punk, all right? I'm gonna tackle you down, and we'll have a good time, and then I will be the alpha for a second. I'll give you a little bite, But no, I would never actually bite my dog, though. Apparently, some people believe that it is a way to show, what is it? Dominance. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I read a thing about, how dogs, will lick you, and that's because they're showing like, they're basically showing their subservience, right? Mm-hmm. Which is why they get so offended when you lick them back or try to, because they don't want you to stoop beneath them because they see you above them.
Well, especially when they lick your face. Yeah. Because when you lick a dog, when a dog licks another dog's face, that is opening up all of their vital areas to Like,
Attack.
They're attack. Like, they are completely ignoring normal defense mechanisms to show you subservience.
Right.
And so, like, my dad always used to get mad. He's like, don't let that dog lick your face. I was like, why? Because it respects me? And now the dogs lick my dad's face all the time. Because,
well, I mean, you also, I feel like people also tend to get softer the older they get. And it's always my favorite thing to hear stories of, like, people going home with pets and be like, my dad really fucking hates cats, or my dad really hates dogs. And then that dog or cats like turn them into this like big old ball of mush.
Big old softy.
Like they'll never leave that pet alone ever again.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's exactly what my dad is. He used to be that guy that, like, I swear to God, I think he cried 3 times in his life. Like when his dad passed away, once when he thought I was wasting my life. Like, he slammed me up against a wall and he was like, you need to figure your stuff out. You know, like, I can't really replicate it because it's so weird thinking about my father crying.
Yeah.
You know, but then, like, the 3rd time was when one of our dogs passed away, and he had to Marley and me style bring her to the vet and be with her as she was put away. Like, she went to sleep. And, like, I still, like, and then the same thing when her sister passed away. But 2 of the 4 times I've seen my dad cry were because of dogs. And, like, and he used to think nothing was funny. Now he thinks The Big Bang Theory is the funniest show on TV. You know, like, and like it's not even big. Sometimes Big Bang Theory is funny. I don't credit where credit's due.
Right.
But, like, some of the shows my dad likes, I'm like, dude, this show is like just laugh tracks. Just watch it without a laugh track, and I guarantee you will not laugh. You know, and he's like, no, it's really funny, super clever. And I'm like, I think Two Broke Girls. He loved Two Broke Girls.
Two Broke Girls has its moments, though. Kat Dennings.
It has moments, just little moments where they're really good, and other moments where it's like, oh, you tried so hard.
Right.
But yeah. Which is beyond me too, because the actress, the comedian that wrote for that, I can't remember what her name is, but I've seen some of her comedy specials. She's really, really, really funny, and she wrote for Two Broke Girls and a couple other shows. And when I found out the show she wrote for, I was like, really? But you're so funny all the time. Your sets are all awesome. And these shows are funny at times. I don't know. Anyway,
I think
are great.
Yeah, I think with recorded comedy, it's difficult because it's produced. Right. And then
I think that's why shows like Friends were so successful. First 2 seasons were like people writing for them, and then they figured out what was good for them. And then they just let the actors go.
Right.
They said, this is the story you need to tell. Say what you want to say. Basically.
Yeah, because they're so produced, and so it just doesn't, like, if we're looking at a comedian's notes or like for a set, it's always better live, or like when the whole special's recorded or whatever and it's on Netflix, because there's like a constant setup of the mood, and it's like organic transitions. Whereas on a show like Two Broke Girls or Big Bang Theory, it's like the whole episode is revolved around making those jokes, and so it doesn't feel like it's organic.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel
true.
genuine. So I guess that may be why, like, it just doesn't translate as well, which is like with how comic books wouldn't translate directly well to movies. So they have to take some liberties with adjusting things and how they showcase it, like the media and the story.
Yeah.
And so, which is what I think to some extent Marvel's done quite well in being able to showcase that and transition over to the live action, but they suck when it comes to the animated, or at least they don't do as great as DC, where they do such a great job of showing the stories and like translating from comic book to a live media. Well, a live media when it's animated, but they suck ass with the live action movies because they want to pump out a movie of the same caliber as Marvel, but as quick as possible and not give it the time and breathing room it needs to actually develop into something.
Yeah. That's totally fair. Yeah, I never thought about it. DC's animated stuff is generally just better than Marvel's.
Like, I don't like DC, but like any of the Batman and like Joker stuff that's animated is fucking phenomenal.
Mask of the Phantasm, dude. That's like some just classically good cartoon.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Or Batman Beyond. Come on.
Yes.
That show is like, I'm still crossing my fingers that Michael Keaton is being brought in to play old Bruce Wayne in a Batman Beyond movie live action. But I'm just terrified they're going to ruin it. I don't know.
So, my week.
Meh. Yeah. How have you been?
I've been doing all right. There's a couple of things happening. I know I've talked about bars before becoming an anti-racist society, and the person who hosts the show on their channel is Snaps. She Snaps.
She Snaps.
And so we've been a little inconsistent to start with because there's a lot of things going on her side, and so we're finally back in the groove now. We did our third show just yesterday as we're recording this. And we had a guy called King J on the show. He is a part of the fighting community. He's a Tekken content creator.
Okay.
And it's getting heavy because I think the first few weeks were just kind of like figuring each other out, how we're going to make this work, and just falling into like a groove. And we're finally finding that, and we're going to be having rotating guests for the most part. So King J was on this week, and next week we've got a guy called Equagan, who is a Destiny content creator, and that man fucking games. Like, he's on 20 hours a day sometimes, and consistent.
What?
Like, he's streaming every day. This man's a grinder. And so the last panel, if you want to catch the VOD, it should still be up. We were talking about opportunities as a Black person in the gaming space, or lack of thereof, because there's like quite literally the lack of opportunities screams volumes about the agenda of some of these gaming companies.
I didn't realize that was an issue. I didn't really think that the color of your skin mattered.
Well, it
partially
shouldn't.
because I guess some of the competitive scenes that I'm at least sort of involved in watching pretty regularly have a reasonable amount of representation between at least races.
Right.
Not necessarily sexes, but that's a different story.
Yeah. He was saying that or at least we were talking about the only real like diverse group of gamers in the fighting community is the Smash community. So like with Tekken, it's not the case. Like, he was telling us a story about how somebody was constantly like accusing him of cheating as he was coming up. And he talks about this man, Glenn, this man's a true content creator. And I'm talking like he has a 3-week-old newborn, and he's still on a regular basis putting out more than one YouTube video a day and also streaming every other day.
That's freaking intense. And as long as he's not, sacrificing his role as a father for being a content creator.
At the moment, I think he's sacrificing.
I think that's awesome.
I think he's sacrificing sleep because she keeps him up as well.
Oh,
okay. Because he has to be up late.
He's
nowadays.
Not a single father, is he?
No, I don't believe so. Actually, that never came up.
I was like, if he's streaming, making videos, and has the 3-week-old baby without a partner to help him, like,
it's impressive if he's balancing everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So he was telling us about that, and like he was telling us about how it's commonplace, because also we don't think about this if we're not people of color or in that like arena, because it doesn't affect us. So like a lot of us do have the privilege of not necessarily noticing it, because a lot of Black creators also don't want to make noise because they don't want to lose out on future opportunities, because they don't want to be seen as troublesome. And so he was telling us about how he'd ask a company for like support, and like, I'm using your brands. I'm like, I'd love to work with you. I need some support, and they'd reach out and be like, all right, what do you need? Like, I need this, this, and this. And they'd be like, all right, sure, we'll see what we can do. Then they'd message back saying like, all of that's out of stock right now. We'll send you what we can. And they'd send him that. And then they also sent him what he'd asked for initially. But they're like, hey, by the way, you got the wrong shipment. That was meant for somebody else.
But you said that stuff was out of stock.
Exactly. And so he sent that back, and he's like, I don't want to be problematic.
Waves. Yeah.
Right. And things like people getting partnerships or sponsorship deals or promotions or whatever with lower numbers than he has, and he doesn't understand it. Right.
Yeah.
Which, because let's say they even make the argument like your numbers are inflated and you maybe don't have community engagement, because that's what a lot of brands look for more than just like raw numbers, because then you have more influence, because then people actually care about what you're saying. But then we creeped on all of his stuff, and he has community engagement. Like, he has a good community behind him. So we were kind of having this conversation like, so what's going on? And he's like, I really don't want to think that it's because of my race, but then it has, like, what else is there? I have the numbers. I put out the content. I've been nice. I don't make any waves. I'm consistent. Yeah. What else could it be? And so we were talking about that, and we were talking about the Twitch video that they put out this past week. Did you happen to see that, Glenn?
That who put out?
Twitch on their social medias.
No, I don't think I saw that.
They basically put out a video saying that they stand in support with Black Lives.
Yeah.
And it had like...
But there was no black people in it.
There were actually 4.
Oh, yeah, but there was a lot of content. I mean, I watched it for like 30 seconds, and I didn't remember seeing a black person.
There were 4.
And I was like...
The 4th one that most black people also missed, or at least the people we were doing the thing with last night missed, because it was just so much fairer, but they were still black. So like they were like a white passing black individual is what I understood. That's why they missed. But anyways, they were supposed to be like, we were talking about how this is performative allyship, right? This is just kind of like the people making these decisions or sitting at the top aren't really diverse. And so they all looked at it and they're like, oh, this looks good. Let's just ship it out. And also, just to be clear, there's no like hatred against the creators that were featured in that video. They had fantastic things to say, but then this was coming from a platform that's like, we stand with black people, but didn't include any black people in that message. It would have been a different video if they're like, this is how you can be an ally, and then they showcased all these other creators.
Right. Yes.
It's quite literally because this is also the same, like, Twitch is so problematic. Glenn, did you see what they said about LGBTQIA+? They said the G stands for gamer.
Oh no.
Yeah, they put out like a graphic saying the G in LGBTQIA+ stands for gamer.
Oh no.
Now, it's
like when you see an old person trying to use like hip words. It's like, okay, grandpa, like, I see that your heart's in the right place, but my goodness,
it would have been a little bit better, in my opinion, if they said GAYMER, because then it's kind of like a pun of like, you're a gamer and you're gay, so you're welcome. I'm like, okay, that's funny. That's
a play on words that I think everybody can appreciate.
Right. But then that wasn't like, you're just essentially like messaging and erasing an entire identity of people.
Yeah. Which is like the first ones to really come out, like gay people in general. And then that kind of led to a sexual revolution of sorts, where people were able to be like, I'm asexual. I'm not really attracted to people, or I'm not physically attracted to people, but I can fall in love with anybody.
Right.
Or all of these different varied feelings on human sexuality were able to spur from that one,
right,
from being gay. It's like how back in the day people were just retarded. Now we understand things about autism and this giant spectrum of how the mind works.
Right.
And it's like time helps you understand things, but not apparently for those old guys at the top of Twitch.
So yeah, that's kind of like what we were discussing this week, and it was a little heavy at times, because we were talking about, the end of the conversation was, what was the most memorable moment of racism you dealt with? And for me, it's being called a terrorist because I have a beard and I'm brown by my own family.
Oh, Wait, your own family called you that?
Yeah, by my own family, because in India, like beards are not, at least my part of India, beards are not the move. Like you're expected to be clean cut and shaven and like, you know, or like a goatee or like well trimmed or like a mustache is fine, but not like a full beard. And the amount of times I've been like, oh, hey, look, what's up, Osama? And I'm like, ha 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 ha, ha, you're funny old man.
That's a pretty common name. Look at you, John Smith, white ass guy.
And, you know, so it's like that will always stand out. It's like, it's just so demeaning to a whole group of people. And also, why aren't you calling all these white bearded guys wearing flannel terrorists either? What's different about them? And the moment you ask them that, they'll be like,
listen, it's because they're domestic they're patriots.
Yeah. Like you're talking about beards. They've got beards, right? That's apparently what qualifies, right? Yeah. It's not just the beard. Oh, then you find out that it's also you have to be bearded and brown. Like then you find out
bearded and brown. Okay, it's the BB. Okay.
Yeah, so that's...
I got you, BB. Brown boy.
So yeah, that's that.
No, that sucks though, man. I'm sorry that's something that you had to go through, you know.
I still have to deal with it. That happened really recently sucks. Because I'm like, I just don't like shaving. Like that's part of what started me growing it out. It's like shaving.
Beards make you scientifically sexier. It's just real.
That and also like it's good for saving places, like saving snacks. So you know, if you're ever hungry,
flavor saver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what happens when you start a meal with soup. You just let your stash catch it all, and then with your every bite of steak, just go, just a little lick off the upper lip. Just add that extra dash of flavor.
A little dash of flavor. I love it. Oh my god.
But beyond that, I launched my own solo podcast.
Yeah, I you know, I'm not sure how many of our audience members have heard about it, but I've listened to both episodes already, and I'm hooked.
It is called Cultural Lenses, and you can find it.
Yeah, how are you feeling about it? What's the reception like?
Well, I want to be cautiously optimistic because first few episodes, so initial hype or whatever. But right now, across both the episodes, I'm sitting at 52 plays combined.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really great.
It is really awesome.
And let's be real too, like the intro song is fire.
Yes.
The cover art for it is awesome.
Thank you.
And the content is so far a good, simple listen because of the time frame, personally. Like I don't need to sit here and listen for 3 hours every week.
Right.
You know? Which some people love to do with certain podcasts, but I love the fact that I genuinely knew nothing about curry.
Right.
Now I do. You know, and I don't remember all of the names of the regions or the places or the different variants of things that you put in and stuff, but I know that it is a much wider gamut of flavor and variety in food than what I was presented, which was effectively the British version.
Right.
It's a super spicy thing that smells weird. That's what I knew.
Right. That's the intent.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the episodes.
I learned a lot.
Thank you. The episodes are about 30 minutes long. Because I was worried about two things. How many people would want to sit for more than about 30 minutes, let's say 15 minutes, and hear me rant about something? Just a personal worry at the start. And then also, like, would I be able to talk more than 30 minutes? Like, realistically, how much more could I say about a subject? And so rather than have something like variable, like, oh, some days it's going to be 15, some days it's going to be 45 minutes because I have so much to say, I'm like, let's make this show chaotic. I want to help people learn. I want to like just rant about things from my point of view, whether they agree with me or not is something else. But like, I just want to showcase that because I want to help fight ignorance, which is what started all of this. As you were saying, you learned a lot about curry and seems something so trivial to learn about, but then it also helps. It honestly helps me vocalize how appropriated I feel about the word curry. Right? And how much it sucks for me as an Indian, like, oh, you know, are you going to eat curry tonight? I'm like, yeah. It's like, but then curry, as I go in the episode, can be wet or dry, and we just call everything a curry. Right?
I didn't know curry could be sweet and savory. That's crazy to me. Like,
oh, yeah.
I thought it was literally just a spicy, reddish, soupy thing that smelled weird to me.
Right.
Because I had never had it. I still have never eaten curry. But like listening to the episode, hearing you talk about it, like my mouth started water. I was like,
I don't think I covered the sweeter kinds of curry too well, but there are places where they make it using a cashew gravy. So it's just naturally sweet and like creamy.
That sounds really good.
And in the gravy, there's gonna be like these either vegetable balls or meatballs, and so like they're like fried and then coated in that sauce, and then we eat that with bread or with rice. Like there's so many variants to like, and also so many regions, and just so much history behind curry. I'm like, how do I explain this in 25 minutes? 20 minutes, right? And so I just broke down like by country the more popular types of curries, and then I broke down like in India what a curry could mean, because it's the anglicized word. And I'm like, when I say a potato curry, it's not necessarily gravy based. Like my mom makes a good potato. Well, she calls that a potato fry, but it would count as a curry in our language because that's just what the translated word would be in English.
Yeah.
And it's like the British needed something that they could understand. Also, the one thing I didn't cover is that curry powder was just something that was just a random spice mixture that the Indians first sold to the British. They're like, oh, curry powder, we're going to use this and make. And I'm like,
this is curry. This is all curries.
Right. So yeah, like it's going to be things like that. I wanted to be chaotic. I'm going to be doing, what's great about this is also it's kind of crowdfunded. I had somebody tell me, I want to know your thoughts about Hank Azaria and Apu from The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
So there is going to be an episode about Frank Azaria and Apu at some point. Somebody was like, well, how do you feel about, what do you call it? Travel visas? I want to know about travel visas because they don't travel a lot outside the States. I'm like, all right, I could talk about travel visas. I've been fortunate enough to travel to plenty parts of the world. I have an idea of how that works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's,
and I mean, because like you just said a few things that may be on the docket here coming up, but like, is there anything that you're particularly excited about that you have planned that, you know, because obviously we want people to check this out. You know, we don't want to give them, we've already given them a little preview with Talk of Curry, you know, just what you can expect. And it's everything from curry to Black Lives Matter, you know, so like it really is supposed to span the gamut of different topics. But I think one thing you did say in the first episode is that Bars is going to take a lot of the heavier things off of your plate effectively, so that this can just be kind of a potpourri podcast. So is it true that you are going to more often than not probably talk about lighter things that are interesting and may relate to some heavier topics, but not like focus on those, since you're going to be talking about those in Bars?
I think so too. I think so, yes, because I do make sure that at the start, and you're going to hear that a lot more now, I'm like directing attention to all the different places that I do things, because I'm not going to say I'm above and beyond repeating myself, but then Bars does a much better job of tackling Black Lives Matter and issues like racism, because that's what we're made for. That's what the show's dedicated for. And also we have a bunch more perspectives and opinions. And so there's more learning on those topics there, which is why I'm like, I'll leave, for the most part, racial issues to Bars, unless I'm talking about something very specific. And we're going to be doing a lot of learning about India on my show, I think, because I don't know too much about India. So I think this is going to be an exciting opportunity for me as well to learn about my roots.
Because you moved before you were 1, right? Like
I was 10 days old when we moved to Saudi. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you said visited but never lived there.
Yeah, we'd go back. I'd go back every summer for like at most 2 or 3 months. Yeah, spend my summers in India.
What's his name from Parks and Rec? Except he wasn't even born there. He was born in I can't remember what his character's name is. Aziz Ansari's character.
Right.
They're like, where are you from? He's like, Kentucky. And they're like, no, where are you from? And he's like, well, my parents are from India. I grew up here, though. You know, like, I'm sure that's a question you get a lot. Where are you from? Well, I mean, I grew up in Canada. I grew up in UAE, whatever. Like, they're like, really? United Arab Emirates? Really? And you're like, yeah.
So yeah,
you and Aziz Ansari have some nice little interesting similarities there.
Yeah, with Aziz Ansari, I thought about that too because we were talking about positive representation on bars last night, and like just in terms of like because we were talking also about representation in media and why that's important for the psyche and mental health. And I can the really only positive representation I could think of then were two: Kumail Nanjiani in his upcoming role for Eternals, and Aziz Ansari in Master of None. Because he's very like he's an Americanized Indian person, and you kind of see the interesting cultural dynamics between his parents and how has to like exist day to day. And it's not so harsh there because his parents are kind of chill on the show, and also in real life, because those are his actual parents on Master of None.
Those are his actual parents. Yeah.
So like
his dad's such a bad actor. It's so funny. But it's funny because it's genuine. Like
exactly.
You know that's how he is in real life. He's just a guy, and he's a goofy guy, and he's not. Yeah, there's nothing disingenuous about him. Anyway, I apologize.
No, yeah. So that's how it's like. That's a good look into how our cultures clash between India and North American, like Indian culture and North American culture, and it's just maybe a more milder variety. But I could tell you stories about my cousins that I'm not supposed, like I shouldn't be, because it's not my story to tell. About how, despite her growing up in New Jersey, her parents are still kind of like very harsh on like the Indian upbringing and culture, despite her not growing up as Indian. Like
she doesn't know
she's in a mixed culture essentially, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so the show is meant to be chaotic. It's meant to be like just a snapshot onto like me either ranting about curry and how much it pisses me off when people just say, "Oh, do you have curry for dinner?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did," and then they're like, "Oh, what kind of?" Like some people know, some people don't, right? People who've been to India would understand when I say like, you know, when I'd say I've had this and this, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like if I tell you I had an eggplant curry, could you like visualize having eggplant in a gravy, like spicy red thing? It's weird, right? Because that's not the only way we eat it. So it's kind of, at some point we're going to go through like the Bhagavad Gita, which is our like main holy scripture, then the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, which are also like our other like holy books, because I've never read them. And so when I think this would be a nice journey, I guess, because you're going to be learning at the same time I'm learning. So I'm going to be breaking it down to you in terms that I understand as well, because I also want it to be relatable.
Actually, I did learn something interesting about India today.
Okay.
It was that out of the top 10 most famous big cat human killers, like 6 or 7 of them are from India or surrounding areas, like, you know, just like to the north and stuff. Like lots of tigers.
Yeah.
Just killing people. I had no idea that it was so prevalent there. I was like, surely it's all just big cats in Africa, right? No. Nope. Tigers are mean, apparently. I don't know.
I want to say I feel like in Africa there's like I could be talking about my ass here. So if anybody has any corrections and you're listening, just please like angrily tweet me. But I feel like to some extent, and I'm just assuming here that Africa has maybe a more general respect for animals.
I think there's a lot more space too.
And a lot more space. And Indians are just so used to like going in and taking when they want and what they want, especially when they're out like expanding out in the countryside or whatever. And maybe that pisses people like the animals off. I don't necessarily know why that's the case, but also I think from
maybe a topic for the show.
Maybe, but also
big cat killers.
I can actually look at that. I have to make a note of that. But also I can tell you,
I just thought it was very interesting. I was like, man, it's scary. Like,
that the geographical history shows us that India was a part of the African continent.
Oh,
yeah. So India was a part of the African continent before it split off and joined the Asian continent, became the Asian subcontinent.
Pangea?
When it was still as Pangea, yeah.
Pangea, yeah.
So which is why there's so many similarities in flora and fauna sometimes. Yeah. Also, the one thing I didn't go over the show, which I thought was interesting, is India is the pepper is native to India.
All pepper?
Uh,
Like bell peppers, jalapenos?
No, like black pepper.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
I didn't know that. Like India's got the largest black pepper plantations in the world or something.
Do you like pepper?
I don't like pepper.
See, I don't like pepper at all. Like
people love
that's
pepper.
My family.
Gordon Ramsay would slap you in the face with pepper.
He was like, "Yeah, put pepper on your macaroni and cheese," and I'm like, "Why would you ruin it?" That's all I feel about it, unfortunately.
But yeah, that's cultural lenses. If you feel so,
so inclined, I think
inclined to check it out.
I can recommend 5 stars. Will listen again.
I appreciate it. You can find it on. I'll tell you right now: Google, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, and Breaker. What the fuck Breaker is, I have no idea, but it's on Anchor. So if you feel so inclined, that's where you can find it. But we are a video game podcast, Glenn.
What?
Yeah.
Who is video game?
Us.
We is video games?
Apparently.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I guess we should talk about what we've been playing then. I don't think you and I played any of the same games this week, so that'll be nice to just hear about different things from each other. I think be good. What did you play? What games were you rocking out this week?
Glenn, I'm back on Destiny and I hate it.
I know. I tried to get you to play games with me the other night and you were like, "Sorry, man, I got to do some grinding." And I said, "What?" And you said Destiny. And I said, "Oh no."
Yeah. It's because
Oh, no.
I think I might have mentioned it, but because the new
FOMO?
A part of it is FOMO, but also like the new season's coming out in September, like the new expansion, and things are changing, like story wise, and they're adding a bunch of things as well. They're also doing something called the Destiny Content Vault, which is they're like, listen, we've realized that there's just too many things for us to like maintain and service in the game right now. So come September, we're retiring a bunch of places and a bunch of activities. Or maybe more destinations and activities related to those destinations. So
is the moon one of those?
No, the moon is more recent. So it's going to be part from things from the base game. So I believe it's Mars, Mercury, Nessus, and Titan. So the
are all going to no longer be accessible?
Yes. So they're giving you, they're giving us until like September 25th, I think it was, or 24th that the expansion drops. To like grind out all the things in those areas that you want.
Okay.
And Moments of Triumph launched, which is their yearly like end of the year cycle thing where you do activities, you get a code to order the t-shirt, and that shows that you participated like this year of Destiny. And so they did the thing where 5 of the raids that are going away, which is being retired because they're tied to a destination, a planetary destination. If you do all 5 of those raids in this time, you get access to a specific raid emblem. And also you get a discount code for a raid ring, which has the Destiny raid logo on it.
What raids are those? Because I might, if they're older ones, I may have actually done them already, so maybe I could do them with you.
Yeah, it's
get a ring, because that'd be kind of cool.
100%. Get a ring. Yeah, it's and they're also pretty easy raids too. So if you wanted to try and bump yourself up a little bit and play for a little bit, so it's the Leviathan raids. Leviathan, Spire of Stars, Eater of Worlds, Scourge of the Past, and there was one more. I can't fucking remember. Yeah, there was one more raid that's going away. Yeah, anyways, it's all of the Leviathan raids and Scourge of the Past, which is the Earth raid. I actually don't know if that's going away. I don't know if Earth's going away. I'd have to look into it. But yeah, there's a bunch of raids to do. And then it's just quests on a backlog that I've had now for months. So like, because I haven't been playing frequently, and even if I do play, I'm only playing PvP. I've not been doing any PvE. Now that I'm on, I'm actually having fun.
Oh,
because I'm active.
Fun in Destiny?
I don't know what that is, but I'm actively working towards things that I have a backlog of. And so
I really do think it's one of the more well-designed games in the last decade. It's just
a small little game from a multi-million-dollar indie studio.
I don't know. I feel like it's good though. I don't know. I've always liked Destiny. I think the music's great. I like the stories. I like the characters.
Putting aside my issues with the gameplay and weapon balancing, story, art, music, oh my fucking god, like they knock it
Oh,
out of the
yeah.
park every single time, just home run after home run. When you hear that soundtrack,
Ethan Fillion.
Nathan, he's Miss Cade, he's no longer with us. Well, I think they couldn't afford to keep him around.
He what?
Nathan Fillion's character Cade.
What about Cade?
Nathan Fillion's character Cade. They couldn't. Well, first of all, they had to replace him with Nolan North, because they couldn't afford.
Yeah, because he's cheaper.
Well, he was already.
Nolan North is like the most famous voice actor in the world.
He was already doing voice like work for them, so I think they're like, you're already doing this. We'll just double you up on work to do, and maybe they drop Nathan Fillion. I think that might have been the case.
So weird. I hope that's the case because I'm pretty sure Nolan was more expensive than Nathan.
Because he does. Nolan North does the voice for the Ghost.
Yes.
And before it was Peter Dinklage.
After Dinklebot, yeah.
I honestly miss Peter Dinklage, but Nolan North does a fantastic job as well.
Was good. Yeah.
But Nolan North did a very good job trying to replicate Cade's intonations and the way he spoke, so that was great. But I mean, it was also going to die, so it's not like he had to do a lot of work for him.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, like it's getting interesting. Story's getting interesting. The way they're trying to keep you engaged with the story week to week is a lot better than it has been before. And the new systems on how you can customize your loot and look for something specific is much better. So right now, PvE is a great spot. PvP is shaky, but
yeah, and what is the reason for that? That, in your opinion,
it's a mixture of lack of proper weapon balancing, lack of proper exotic balancing, lack of proper subclass balancing, and also a lack of proper anti-cheat. Like cheaters are rampant in some
like aimbotting and stuff.
Oh yeah,
really?
It's rampant. In
that feels
some
like
game
it'd be
modes.
that feels like it'd be a primary focus since people are pretty competitive about that. And there's a lot of in-game things you can get from doing that.
I will not speak for Bungie because, especially right now, I don't want to speak about what they failed to do before because I don't know enough. And right now, I don't want to say anything too harsh because they're doing a fantastic job already maintaining the game from home, where they don't have access to their servers and they're doing their best to do things remotely. So
yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like, we're just going to have to wait and see, as it's always been the case, wait and see and then get disappointed.
You never know, man. Someday one of these gaming studios may just listen to their fans and,
right.
Release.
Beyond that, beyond the issues with the actual gameplay, like I've said, art, music, characters, story, lore, they knock it out of the park. And also as people and as a studio, I really love Bungie for,
Is there anybody particularly?
No, just because we've seen people from our community managers, DMG04 and that's one of them. Cosmo's the other one. We've seen them talk about vocally, publicly about Black Lives Matters and a whole bunch of other things. And Pete Parsons, the CEO of Bungie, was out in the streets in Seattle during the protests. They're out participating. Good. The last time they did their last stream, they opened the stream with 8 minutes and 47 seconds of silence. Just like a timer counting down. Yeah. And messages going on about why it's important, what's going on. This is unacceptable. And then it showed links of places you can go, donate, sign, places of action. And they're not afraid of that. They've got, sure, it might seem, I don't know how you might feel about this, but they're selling, their Bungie logo, which is a fist with holding a lightning bolt, that they've had since the Halo days. They put out a pin of that, but with a black hand. And so they put out a Black Lives Matter emblem where they said the proceeds are going to these foundations. And you buy this pin, you also get an emblem in game. They've done that they have a Pride pin that's similar. Awesome. They have something similar for their own foundation, Bungie Foundation, that aims towards helping kids, and they're active in so many other parts of either the local community and otherwise, that that's I think part of why as a studio they're so great that I can't break myself off from the game itself.
Yeah. Despite imbalancing issues, you appreciate them on a more intrinsic level as people.
Yes.
And the things they stand for. That's really cool. That's honestly, to me, that's more important than a good game. If you ask me, a good game with a bunch of terrible people behind it making crap tons of money.
Right.
Nah, give me a game that I can get behind and be a little frustrated with for certain reasons, but have people that care about people. That's actually really awesome. I had no idea. I knew that he would told me he was out he was out protesting with people in Seattle, but like I had no idea that they had these things, where it's like it's a traceable, trackable thing where you can say, I gave money to this, I got this pin, and I can see what they're doing with that money to help them. Help these, these smaller people groups who are being marginalized. So that's really awesome. That actually makes me like, maybe I might be a bigger fan of Destiny than I thought, because you knew that I played the game and I enjoyed the game, but man, that's awesome.
I love Bungie, which sucks because it just keeps me in this never-ending loop of wanting to play this game that is questionable at times in terms of my fun experience, but then it's still, I'll never get away. Like they've held on to my heart since 2015, and it's that grip is never gonna let go. But that's
maybe
Destiny.
We'll just play some Destiny this evening,
Maybe. But
get some raids going.
What have you played this week, Glenn?
This week it's been a lot of not a lot. It's been a lot of ARAMs in League of Legends. I actually may have set up a time because I really do enjoy playing League of Legends, but it's one of those things where it's like a game where as a Twitch streamer, like it's too big for me to get a consistent audience with. Because you either need to be like really attractive or really good. And I'm like marginally good looking and not great at the game. And so like,
not a great combo.
It's one of those things where I just had to go, all right, I can't do this. It's not going to help grow my community. But recently, one of the people that I rated who I think she streams 2 or 3 days a week, but she's a really pretty girl and she's very fun and she's puts out good content, and she almost always is streaming League of Legends, whether it's TFT, ARAMs, ranked and stuff. But she's really great. And she has rated me back a couple times, and I asked her one day, I was like, hey, do you want to do like a co-stream thing where we were going to stream at the same time? Obviously, you may have more people, and that was very true because she rated me when she ended a little earlier than me, with like 13 or 14 people, and I had like 5 or 6.
Right.
So like, like she doing the same stream at the same time with the same people, she was able to get 3.5 times my audience. And that's a microcosm of what we struggle with, but like it still did, net me people that I enjoyed having in my chat, having to game with. And so I think weekly we're going to set up we decided we're going to call it Ranked Fridays.
Okay.
And we're just going to play our duo Fridays, and her and I are going to go in duo every Friday for like 4 or 5 hours. So I can hopefully have a League of Legends stream once a week again, which would be really cool. But ARAMs, which all middle,
yep.
I think is what ARAM stands for.
Those are the only League games that I've played. Like,
yeah.
And
other than TFT is still League.
Well, what I mean is like in terms of like a regular League game, like a regular game of League, those are the only ones that I've ever played, and they were acceptable.
Yeah.
Because it's just
nobody knows what they're doing.
I think there was only one time where I honestly had fun, and it was with this lady. I can't remember what her name was, but she grows plants and shit.
It wasn't with me?
No, like the character, Glenn, the champion. Zyra. Yeah.
Zyra, yes.
Because for some reason, I don't know what it is. Cool. Like her abilities like instantly clicked for me, and I'm like, oh, I could do all right, cool, done.
I can play
and
this,
I was like, I actually finished mid-table, I think, that game. I don't know if we won or lost, but I had fun.
Yeah, and you didn't get wrecked on, which is always fun. That's my favorite thing, is finding a champ that I never would have played otherwise.
Right.
And like just trying them out and enjoying what happened with them. Yeah, maybe you'd be an awesome support. Play bot lane with me someday.
I'm fucking sick and tired of being a support, Glenn. She's
a support champion.
I was playing very aggro with her though. and I was doing pretty okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But she is. You could play her mid, maybe.
Maybe, like, it's just, I'm so tired. This is me from all my days of Overwatch. I'm so tired of being support because I am an Ana Mercy main because motherfuckers are stupid. Like, we have the Genji.
Like, you go in, I gotta follow you.
Like, we have the Genji, like, balls deep in the enemy spawn, complaining about needing healing and then yelling at me when I can't even see him through 6,000 walls. What am I supposed to do, bro? Like, I'm not gonna run at you. That's a death sentence for me. You know, find out where the health packs are in your area.
Oh my god.
So it's just, so any game I play now, I try to actively avoid playing support just because.
It's just ironic to me that you don't want to play support, but the one champion you liked playing in the league is like 95% of the time support champion.
Because I'm so good at
you can't get away from it.
I'm so good at playing support, Glenn. Like, I'm just inherently good.
But she is, for whatever it is, she is a hyper aggressive support, because a lot of supports will have like healing or shielding or something
she's like
built into their kit.
And like,
she's like stalling and damage. Yeah. Like, she wants to push the lane.
I think that's why I wouldn't mind playing her, because it's I'm not reduced to just being a healer. Right?
Sit and heal, sit and heal, sit and heal.
Which,
like, being a
when
healer
I'm playing with certain
D&D.
people, I will say in Overwatch, playing with certain people, my friend Koma, he was a Rhine main. Me and him have a very like strong understanding of how we each play without having to communicate. So when somebody, like, Ana can put people to sleep. So when somebody dives me to try and kill me, I'll put them to sleep and I wouldn't even have to say anything because he's standing right there watching my back. I'll turn around and he's already charging them and pinning them to the wall and killing them. And so like we're butt buddies. I just stick with him and he sticks with me, and then butt buddies.
You're what?
Butt buddies. Our butts are like to each other, back to back, butt buddies. He's swinging.
You know that is a common vernacular for something else.
I understand.
I understand. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so like there are moments where I have fun playing support, but I don't have fun playing support with other people except for him, because I enjoy healing for him.
Yeah.
Because when he heals, when I heal him and I know that I can heal him and I focus on him, the team wins. And so he knows that he has to turn around and also protect his support, because all of our offense are like fucking miles away doing whatever they want. And then when somebody dives me,
let's go.
Yeah. And then somebody dives me and I die and they're not getting healed. And like, where's the fucking heal? I'm like, I'm dead. Well, don't die. I'm like, well, that's not my job.
No. Well, I think that's maybe why you might like the support role in League of Legends more, because of the fact that effectively you get to be somebody's, as you said, butt buddy, where you are in a lane together, working together. And so if you can find somebody that you jive with in that role, like, there's plenty of like aggressive supports you can play that scale really well into the late game.
Right.
Like, yeah, I think you would enjoy it, just because it's not a support role in a MOBA is not, it doesn't have to be like a support role in a shooter.
Right. I think
because there are champions like, Janna and Nami. They're just like, I healed you. You're faster. Now, my ult, what does it do? It knocks people in the air. Like, that's neat, but can I be?
I'd like to do something.
Senna? Oh my God, Senna. She has this, like, she is a character who was recently introduced, who is the wife of one of the other ADCs in the bot lane.
Okay.
And she's ADC support, but she has this long range gun that basically, as you kill minions and as you get kills on champions, she gets more like just free crit percentage on a chance to hit.
Okay.
So like and once you and you can build items into that crit chance. And once you hit 100% crit, which means you're critting literally every single time you hit, then it starts to turn into lifesteal. And the higher your crit, the longer your range. So she's got this dope ass gun that's basically, by late game, by level 15 or 16, is like a 2/3 length map wide ult that just shoots across the map, deals massive damage in a huge line. And if allies are in that line, they get healed. So you can heal people, you can kill people, and it's an execute. So if they're farther away, it does inherently more damage. And when you're scaling, because a lot of her abilities will also be based off of the amount of hit points and stuff like that. And as you level, you get inherently more attack damage and hit points and stuff like that. So she scales really well. So she's an awesome, and she has an ability to shoot this like, oh, I can't even describe it very well. It's like soul fingers.
Okay.
It's a weird way to say it, but it looks like a hand creeping on the ground at an enemy. And if it makes contact, it roots them in place after a certain amount of time, but it's an area root. So if it hits them and an ally accidentally gets too close, it will root both of them. And then you can just pop your ult off. And if your ADC is in front of you, you heal them and then deal a shit ton of damage to them while you've also rooted them. She's really cool. Anyway, I think you might like Senna. But it's cool because lore-wise, there's a character called Thresh who has a soul lantern because he collects souls. His lantern was broken at one point by Lucian, who thought his wife had been killed by Thresh. And when the souls started pouring out, Senna came out. And I got goosebumps because it's fucking cool. Anyway.
Did you see the fan?
Her eyes are all green now and she's like soul powered and stuff.
There's a fan theory about Raze from Valorant being the sister of Jinx.
Raze?
Yes.
That's what people call me on stream.
Oh.
No, Jinx's sister, I think it was actually revealed who Jinx's sister was.
Because they were saying something about Jinx saying something about her sister being crazier than she is. Vi?
Yeah, it's Vi. Mm-hmm. Technically, it's, yeah. You think I'm crazy? You should see my sister. Yeah, Jinx was my main for a while. My main bae.
I did actually play some TFT this week. I won.
Oh, yeah? Shut up. Don't say you won. I can't win a game for the life of me in TFT, and I'm gold too. No! Sorcerers don't work.
They do.
I guess, yeah. What's your rank, though? What rank are you?
I'm not playing comp. I'm not playing ranked.
Oh, you're just playing norms?
Yeah, I'm just playing norms. Yeah. I'm not about to fair. I'm not about to dive into that. That's not something I want to, because it's going to be one of those things where at the moment it's Pandora's box, Glenn. The moment I open that up, I'm never going to stop.
Can't close it.
No, so I'm just going to keep it sealed until the day depression hits.
Yay!
Bad joke.
And then you can jump right into it. Well, I'm at rock bottom. Can't get worse. Let's go.
No, it's interesting how rapidly, even with the same set, the meta changes. Because I talked about how I was using something called TF Tactics from Overwolf. And they have like when you load up the app, it shows you what the current comps are. And it's changing so much, and it tells you strategies as well. Like a fast 8 strategy is to be level 8 by 4-3. So that you're getting more access, you're getting access to 5, gold star champions.
That's a little easier to do in a dense or a super a large galaxy where you have more health or something too. Yeah.
But it lists out those things, this is how you're going to do it, and it'll show you what the comp is. It'll show you what the early comp is. It'll show you what the positioning is, and it'll also say these are viable replacements if you can't get enough copies of these heroes. And so I'm kind of
see, that's stuff that I have never done.
I'm loosely building off that only because it's just so much, and I don't know the champions, and
there's a lot.
It just makes it easier to know which ones I'm looking for right off the bat.
Yeah.
And so I try some of them, and I go down the list, and I'm like, all right, because it has S rank comps, and then I start with the A rank comps, and I go up. Let's see which ones are silly. There's Brawler Blaster, Rebel Blaster, things like
Always
that.
Good.
So just messing around with things. I really like the mech comps because it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's
mech Infiltrator.
It's just so stupid. Why is that a thing? I don't understand why the mech is a thing, but it is.
Well, the funny thing is, you know how when the mech dies now, everyone that comes out has a third of their natural health. Before it used to be the opposite. They would come out all 3 with full health.
Do you know how many games I've won?
Ironically enough,
with just those last 3?
They hella buffed. They hella buffed the mech for this patch. And so the mech is way stronger. So that way when the people do come out, there's a chance that you can beat it. Because before it was the mech was not that strong. It was strong, but it's not as strong as it is now. So you almost had to plan on your mech being destroyed to make the comp work because you needed, fizzes, CC or whatever to do what you needed to do. Also, it used to be, because I think now too, the mechs, if I remember right, they don't actually pull Rumble into the mech combo anymore.
It does.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm crazy.
I mean,
okay.
unless maybe whoever, if you'd seen that, they maybe had another copy of Rumble or something.
Or they were in a PBR or something. Because I know that most of the times I'm watching like Scara and Disguised Toast and some of those guys, they're on PBRs. So like,
and it does say that it
playtesting the next stuff.
It pulls 3 random mech pilots. So if you have more than,
you technically,
if you have more than 3, there is a chance that.
I did see Scara do that once. He had 2 silver rumbles when he was building towards a gold rumble, and he just had an extra rumble in there because he also had a gold Ziggs, so he had Demolitionist.
Right.
And then he swapped Ziggs out eventually for Gangplank.
Yeah. There was so one of the comps that I won with, which was stupid. I was just following the guide, like the thing just as it was. Riven and Annie up front. And Zoe, Twisted Fate, Victor, Janna, Syndra. I also hate that I'm remembering these names. I really do.
Did you have Star Guardian too then?
Yeah, so it was 6 Sorcerer, 1 Paragon, Bronze Star Guardian, Bronze Chrono, and Bronze something else. Bronze Mystic.
Wow. Bronze Mystic.
I think so.
Oh yeah.
Or Celestial, either or. I can't remember.
If you had, I'm trying to think,
because like
maybe you had
a gold Ari.
Did you have Lulu?
No Lulu. I'll pull it up right now, but there was no Lulu in that comp.
It's like because Lulu is Celestial and Mystic.
Lulu is
Lulu
also stupid in some comps once you get that far.
Oh yeah, if you get a good comp with Lulu and Janna at like silver,
it's just fucking close quarter like crowd control at the wazoo. It's just insane.
Yeah. Or Urgot. Oh my god, I saw somebody with a gold Urgot and he had double Shojin's blue buff. So he just like stood there and it was like, oh no, he had Shojin rapid fire cannon blue buff and he had Star Guardian sorcerer. So basically all he did was just have Urgot in the corner and he would like shoot his thing immediately, kill one, shoot it again, kill one, shoot it again, because the Star Guardians were causing his mana to regenerate so quickly that he never had to move. He just killed like 7 units straight out. And against Mech Pilot, that is disgusting.
Yep.
Because you just kill the mech immediately.
Yep.
It's just dead. Anyway.
It's crazy because it's just insane. Like Ari slaps. Like Ari fucks hard when you can get her up to level, because I'm starting to understand also the difference between physical damage, magical damage, and true damage. And Ari is just all true damage once she gets up to level with the right items. It's just all true damage. And then once you get Janna on with the Paragon trait, it's just all true damage. Like they can't.
Wait, what does Paragon do?
I think it converts. Let's see.
Don't tell me it converts all magic damage from your whole team into true damage. Because if that's the case, that's why it transitions so well, and I had no idea.
Sorcerer's Paragon. All Star Guardian basic attacks are converted to true damage. All other ally basic attacks are converted to magic damage.
So even like a fucking mech is going to be doing magic damage instead of physical? And if you make the mech Star Guardian?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Glenn, get
That's
TF
disgusting.
Tactics.
I need to. That's part of the problem. Is like I'm like you. I don't want to know everything. I just want to play the game.
And it's like I want to play the game.
So like having something like that would be nice.
And I
like
don't want to necessarily like go like as the meta dictates, but then I also want to know what's working and what could I even like work around and try to make something interesting of. But then when you're also like me and you don't like losing and you're competitive, like, well, fine, I'm going to use meta because that's what's working and I want to see how I can do. And it's unfortunate also, I think part of why I don't want to go ranked is how much RNG plays such a big role in when you're buying champions. in terms of getting dupes.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that that's a thing. Because good players will adjust their compositions to the items that they get.
Which was going to be my next thing. Like, good players will recognize almost instantly what champions will replace or fill the void if they notice that they're getting more duplicates of them. I'm not that player.
Right.
So...
And that's fair.
So for me, then I guess it would be more fair to say for somebody casual like me, not getting dupes is a pain in the ass.
Right.
But
granted, I mean, I've seen compositions that just work really well and the items are really, really well catered towards it.
Right.
And, like at level 9, the guy's still running 4 bronze characters with no duplicates. It's just because it works well, And then as soon as he or she gets to 9, then they go in and they just roll down like crazy so they can get duplicates, or they replace them with higher level versions. Like if you're running a cybernetic Blade Master composition or a cybernetic Blade Master Chrono comp, which is I think a really strong one still. Then you have what's her face, Fiora. All right, I've got a silver Fiora. Well, I'm going to sell every other Fiora I get or see, because as soon as I get Aurelia, I don't have to touch her again.
Right.
I can just sell that. And that bronze Aurelia is going to out DPS the Fiora every single time. And then if it's like, and there's 2 Chrono Blade Masters that fit right into that comp. So you can naturally get Chrono without having to add someone like Blitz or... that's, oh my gosh, who's the sniper?
Caitlyn.
Caitlyn, yeah. Yeah, you don't have to add Blitz or a Kate
Caitlyn's
to
my
the composition. You just have... Like, Caitlyn's pretty great
early on,
I think, but out of the snipers though, Jhin is
better. Oh, so much better. Caitlyn early on, I think I had one game where I almost won with a gold star Caitlyn by like round 3. Oof. And I was like, oh, Caitlyn's my girl. She's like cemented herself in my heart.
3?
I got really lucky. And she was doing majority of my damage for so long.
Yeah.
And then I was just getting dicked on because I didn't understand the rest of this. Was early on when I was playing TFT. I was kind of like, oh, just stack these people, and which is still kind of like how I'm approaching it. But I think because I didn't know as much then, I was more successful, I feel like, despite not getting wins, because I'm like, oh, it's like a puzzle, just mix and match and put them together and see what happens.
Yeah, I have seen those cool programs that give you the ability to like play test compositions too, and positioning and stuff like that. And I think that's also really interesting and something I'd like to try out, because I will be real. Somebody that I know knows somebody at Riot who was looking for streamers who are interested in, like being good content creators. And I was like, I mean, yes. So they were waiting for the time that, that COVID is less of a problem and meeting with somebody is not something that may put somebody in potential danger. But that may be coming in the near future, and I may be doing a lot more. And if I do, I'll be like, hey, there's this other guy who's this wonderful representation of diversity in the community, and he's also a fan, but I'm sure he'd be a much bigger fan if you paid him to do it. He likes Destiny a lot, but I'm sure he'll set that aside if you give him money.
Give me money. But yeah, that's sorry, I didn't mean to hijack you talking about League, but like TFT, it's just insane how much I got wrapped up into it a little bit.
It's fun. Yeah, even norms especially. It's like, especially if it's in norms, it's like if you buy the Galaxy Pass or whatever, it's like what, $10? You get points and progression for norms.
Yeah.
So, if I'm frustrated and I'm having a bad day and I just want to, I've only got my phone in front of me and I don't want to play ranked, I don't have to worry about that because I'm still getting progression. Cool. I'm glad you like it though. That makes me happy, even if it's just a little bit. Because we have such varying game taste between each other that it's nice to find commonality in gaming. What else have I played this week? Oh, WoW Classic. We got an announcement for Encourage.
Okay.
Phase 5 is coming out July 28th, I believe, is the release date. It's cool. It's very cool. And it came at a good time. I'm a part of the second rating group of a pretty decently sized guild. And 2 weeks ago, it took us 2 hours and 45 minutes with about 7 or 8 wipes on Blackwing Lair, which is something that's been out for 2.5 months, which is really bad. And then we were like, all right, let's focus up. Apparently the healers and the officers met to talk about tank assignments and healing assignments. And because that's apparently all that really matters. Like the melee DPS can only do so much. If we can't sustain the group through bosses, then we can't win. So we did it this week in an hour and 2 minutes.
Nice.
So a significant improvement. We'll see, because Darkmoon Fair was around, and Darkmoon Fair is notorious for increasing speedruns because it gives, for the melee, it's like a 10% damage boost. It's crazy.
Right.
Like I went in with Darkmoon Fair and no other world buffs, and I still finished like top 7 overall damage in the raid. And these other guys had every buff on the books, and so
feels good.
It felt good. But like, yeah, so I was like, all right, we'll see if we can replicate it this week, because this week we're actually moving to doing both Blackwing Lair and Molten Core in the same night.
Okay.
So if we have another bad BWL, then that's not happening. Mostly because a lot of our people, like probably about half of our raid is in other time zones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they signed up for our server, because our server is on West Coast time. But so we have a huge group of Chileans in our group that are just the coolest dudes.
Interesting. Okay.
They're really awesome. We actually got them all to, I was part of recruiting them over when our old guild fell out. And I was like,
now,
you guys got to come with us, because you guys are great.
Don't want to assume, but I don't know anything about Chile. Not a lot. But is there like a language barrier issue?
Yes, with some of them, yeah.
Okay.
Some of them don't talk. One of them is the hunter class lead, though. So for the most part, he's fine. It's just his mic quality is not awesome.
Okay.
But that's the biggest thing. Like when Need Not Greed fell apart, they were torn up about it. They really, really, were scared that we were all going to be kind of like, when kids have a bad home situation and they hold on to it because they don't want to be separated from their siblings. That's like effectively what our situation was. It was like, I just, I don't want to lose these people that I've gained such good community with. But yeah, so we're doing that. I'm excited about it. Because like when Zul'Gurub came out, Zul'Gurub is a little mini raid that came out. It's like phase 4.5. And this one has Encourage 40 and 20. It's like the ruins of Encourage and then Encourage, full Encourage, or whatever it is,
okay.
AQ. And so there's like a mini raid and a big raid. And the mini raid is similarly another catch-up raid where people can come in late and get good gear without having to run through all of the previous content. And there's still some best in slot stuff in other raids. It's ironically enough, that's where I'm at, where I still need stuff from the first big, not Onyxia, but I need stuff from Molten Core. But yeah, so I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our other raiding group finished Blackwing Lair in 29 minutes. And the world record is about 21 or 22 minutes.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, so our main raid group, which is ironic because a bunch of our like better parsing players took care when we came into Spectra, they didn't stay with our raiding group. They went, I want to be with the main raiding group, and they have spots open, so I'm going over there.
Now, so
they took some of our better warriors, they took some of our better, not all of them, but some of our better players over there, and now they're clearing, they clear both Molten Core and Blackwing Lair even before their 29-minute speed run in less than 2 hours. Both of them. Easy.
Now, this is a question I had in general, and I just never wanted to ask because honestly, it seemed complicated and I don't care about WoW that much, but what does parsing mean?
Parsing is simply it's like a grading scale.
Okay.
That's all it is. Based on each week, you could actually, like, I could parse and have better numbers. But that week, something like Darkmoon Fair might be out. So everybody's doing better. So my better numbers may not always lead to a better parse. It's just, it's a percentile scale of how well you're doing at your job, whether or not that's damage per second, heals per second, those sort of things.
And so use that as a way, I guess I'm going to put this harshly here, but they use that as a way to essentially gatekeep the raid comps.
A little bit. Yeah. For some of the really sweaty guilds, yeah.
Okay.
Because like the sweatier guilds will have
not necessarily aimed at your guild,
like,
but
they'll have like 30 warriors. It's a 40-man raiding guild, and they'll have 30 warriors and 10 healers.
Okay.
And that's it. And like, but we have hunters, we have feral druids, we have mages. We have actual ranged DPS, and so, but the sweatiest, fastest run clears are almost all melee damage, because melee damage has the highest potential and the highest ceiling. But usually they'll still include like a melee hunter and a melee feral druid, because they have buffs that allow you to, like, feral druids have a thing called leader of the pack, so everybody in their group will get a 3% bonus to crit.
Okay.
Which is crazy. Or the hunters give True Shot Aura, which gives them 100 attack power, which makes your white hits just slap a little harder. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a gatekeeping thing, but it's also, for me, it's a thing where I'm like, all right, I'm contributing. I don't need to parse like really well, but if I look at my parsing numbers, I think, because like, I'm only worried about, because what a lot of people will do is they don't care about their overall parsing stuff, because somebody logged that parse or logged that raid for you 5 months ago when you were still running all pre-BIS. BIS, you know what BIS means, right?
Best in slot.
Yes. So all pre-BIS blues. So they're the best blues you can get before raids came out. And so you parsed like 30%, 30th percentile. So nobody really looks at the average parsing. What they do is they look at the average best. So they'll look at your best one, and then that raid, what is your average between your best scores? So each week, because it's almost impossible to parse 99 or 100 on every boss every week. So you'll just be like, all right, this week I'm going to focus on this boss and try and get my best parse. And so that way your average looks really good between your best parses. So I think my goal was always to finish between 80 and 90th percentile, because I felt like that would be, it proves that I'm pulling my weight.
Right.
I'm not the best in the world, but I'm better than 90% or 85% of all other warriors, because that's still a feat in and of itself. And so I'm looking at right now, like my best parse average on Blackwing Lair is 87%, and Molten Core is 87.9%.
Nice.
So like I'm top-ish, top 10 to 15% of all warriors when it comes to this stuff. And that's without being sweaty. That's like almost zero sweat. Like I have made every single raid every single week, and that is true, but I've not always come fully buffed. I always bring my consumables, but I don't always have the world buffs that, a lot of these other guys have. Right. So
because you don't live and breathe WoW like some of them do.
I did for a while.
Yeah.
I did for a while. There was a time when I probably played 8 to 10 hours a day for several months, so. But, in that way, I think I've told you guys about this, but like I've made some actual real life friends, which is cool. Some people that live in Los Angeles are in my guild, and I've met up with them since things have, when things got a little more chill, and we had a get together and got to meet each other, which was really nice to meet, people and become friends. But other than WoW, I played a little Animal Crossing. If anybody has decent turnip prices, please let me know, because my turnips go bad. Oh no, by the time this comes out, the turnips will have already gone bad. I've got 350,000 bells worth of turnips.
I'll check for you, pal. Oh, if not, I'll direct you to a site where you can help.
I put up a message on my Discord, and only one person responded. I tagged everyone. But everybody I've had my wife ask, they're all like, yeah, I got 100, because it pissed me off. I got on the other day to play, Nick, and I had 429 sale price. 429 bells. And I was like, yeah. And then I got distracted doing my like getting on things. And at 12:04, I looked and I was like, no. So I went back. Yeah. And it was 176. And I was like, no. I bought these for 95 bells a piece. I want to sell them for at least 200. And now I can't find a price over 100 bells.
That's rough.
And they're dead tomorrow. But I will take your assistance going to that site, which probably means I'll have to leave like a tip or something. But whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, so it's usually they'll tell you how much per trip or per run. The site that I'll show you. So some will be like, oh, 1 gold nugget per run, or leave me 99k bells, or 3 Nook Mile tickets, or whatever. They'll tell you how much per run. And like basically you queue up, and when you get there, you just let them know that I'm going to be going back and forth or multiple trips, or they'll say no multiple trips, or if you're going to do multiple trips, just let me know and do this much per visit.
Yeah.
So that
the good thing is I think I have like 32 slots, so I can make it in one trip.
Right.
Or 35 slots. Either way, I think I can do it in one trip. So hopefully. Oh man.
But yeah, I think.
But yeah, also the summer update is kind of meh.
See, now here's my opinions on Animal Crossing in general. In terms of the content and the amount of content, I think it is a blessing and a curse that it came out during the times of COVID, because people have time to basically do everything in a shorter time span when the game was not made to be consumed so quick, which is why the summer update felt lackluster, I think.
I don't think so. I finished the majority of the summer update. Now, obviously, there's things I'm going to achieve over time. Like I'm going to get 500 things out of the ocean over time. But like I got every single species that I could get for my time of year, and the one thing I could get from Pascal from that day in less than 2 hours.
To be fair, I haven't been playing as much. So all I had to do is
get on. That's fair.
I mean, I can understand why, but it's also kind of like why it feels lackluster and it's meh. But then it's like a free update and it's a fun, cute thing. And also, it is. I mean, if
you can do flips off the dock,
it's just kind of one of those things where, putting streamers aside, putting content creators aside, the average person was only going to maybe spend an hour or 2 on Animal Crossing a day, right? Yeah. Not like with Nick in the Chat's mom putting like fucking 120 hours in the first month or like month and a half or something. Because what else are people going to do? Everything's closed, right? So because they consume through everything they can do that month in like a week, and then now they're like, what else do I do? Let me time travel and do everything else that's supposed to be there for the year, which is fine. Like that's their choice. They did that. Great. And so the only problem I have with that is if you're going to complain about nothing else in the game, like you played through a game that wasn't meant to be consumed in such a rapid manner.
Right.
So
that's absolutely fair.
So for the summer update, it looks cute. You can finally go dive. Like I'm like, it's just quite literally free real estate. But also there's a pattern that they showed with the previous game where they had introduced diving after some point. I think it was New Leaf, which was the last 3DS game. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're putting out a free update today. You can dive. So, but they said they had some more plans for like summer stuff. Don't know what exactly. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think it'd be really cool. I'm excited about the possibility of them introducing some of these vendors as like residents.
If Flick's,
there's so many vendors that come and like, can you give Flick a shop?
Or if Flick is a resident, hell yeah.
Yeah. Or Kix. I love Kix. Kix is great. But there's some things in the game that seem to be super, super inconsistent. Like I've consistently logged on for the most part every day, every other day. I have seen red 2 times. How am I supposed to fill up my museum, man? Like, how?
Yep.
2 times in like 4 months.
Yep.
I'm not going to fill up my museum in 10 years of playing of this game. And so they're like, yeah, every week certain things have a chance to happen. I'm like, why not make them guaranteed? Every week on this day, just like the turnip lady, Red's gonna show up and have a bunch of crap.
Because then it's like a double layer of RNG. You have the RNG of him showing up, and also the RNG of what art pieces he's carrying, and also on top, so triple. A bunch of crap. Also another RNG in terms of like whether any of them are real or fake, and also the fact that you can only buy one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So for Red, I can understand how frustrating that might be. Not so much for the other rotating vendors, but for Red, because there's a achievement tied to his visits.
Yep. That is my that's one of my bigger problems is Red. People are like, Red's an asshole, and I'm like, I wish Red was there more. Like, I just want to see Red.
Yeah.
But I think we have a thing to talk about, right?
Glenn, we're already an hour and a half.
We can talk about it for a little bit. I feel like this is probably something that's a relatively simple,
so, this was a thought I had recently, and I titled here as a topic of the show, The Death of E3. Because during the era of COVID-19 in 2020, with conventions being canceled or delayed, video game developers have resorted to now doing online press conferences. And for the most part, they're showcasing just as much. And so it brought me to the point of questioning, like, is there really a point for E3 anymore? Does E3 have any relevance? And I'm not talking about the aspect of being able to play test or play some of these demos, but purely from the conference point of view. Is it even a conference anymore? Is it even a viable conference for people to spend that much money and time building that up when they could instead focus their efforts on things like PAX and bring, Destiny 3 as a playtest demo or whatever to the floor? But they've already announced it and talked about it before, and they're like, oh, by the way, PAX West, you could play a little sample of what we have for you.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about that? What do you think? What is your opinion on that? Do you feel like it's meeting its end? Or?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think this is also not a new topic. I think this has been the case for a long time now. And the people who run E3 have just been kind of like trying to run off fumes and try to keep things relevant, because Nintendo has been doing just fine with their direct announcements for a while now. Right. And then before COVID even hit, people were already announcing that they're backing out of E3 to do their own separate announcements. Sony specifically. Sony had already announced, I think it was in January, it was like, hey, we're not going to be at E3 this year. We're just going to do our own thing, because it's probably more time. It's more time efficient and also money efficient to just like work on your own built-in production to show what you want to. Because I think also E3 started off as a place to share and learn and grow together, and like, this is what we're working on. And now it's turned into like, and like, it's become overtly competitive.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I worry that that line of thinking may mean that all cons are going to go to the same route, where it's just easier and simpler. And that may be a way, honestly, that the world changes, post COVID. But I am encouraged by some of the numbers that I'm seeing. Speaking of COVID, things are getting better. Infection rates may be up, but death rates are down. I saw a video of a doctor in Texas who thinks he may have found a very simple, cost-effective way to deal with this. He's at 100% survivability or surviving rate on his patients. And so maybe, because personally, I love cons. I love going to things. I love watching, reveal stuff, because I think it's, and I've never actually gotten to be at like E3 or anything like that, those big gaming conferences for those things. I usually go to Comic-Cons. But I could imagine, man, there's probably something really cool about getting to show up and then having Keanu Reeves walk out on stage.
Right.
And be like, you're fantastic, and reveal Cyberpunk 2077. Like, are we going to lose that magic for a little bit of financial viability? I think, yeah.
I agree with you to an extent. I feel like we might move into more of a hybrid thing, because I think cons are still very much, I think they have mainstay potential, because at Guardian Con last year, there was a moment where Bungie came out on stage to announce a bunch of things, and this was the year before that, and the entire auditorium where we were stopped, no matter where they were, because there's a main stage and everything else was happening. It was all pretty far, but you could get a decent angle from just about where you were. Everybody stopped, and we were just watching what was being revealed to us. And there's like, that energy is hard to substitute. Like you can't replace that. So I feel like we're probably going to move into some sort of like, here's the big reveal, and then maybe at cons they're going to do like, here's more about the game, or here's a chance for you to play it, or here's a chance for you to like meet and greet with the devs or whatever, like maybe more in depth, like very akin to Comic-Con. Especially like Comic-Con will do like trailer reveal sometimes, and I can see that happening, but then I don't see the point of like these big fancy shows dedicated to one developer or one studio at a time anymore, when they could just kind of do that as they wish throughout the year when it makes sense for them. Right, because I also think that puts some, this might be me talking out my ass, but I think that also puts some pressure on the developers themselves. Because if you have a developers like a big boss comes in like, we need to have something for E3 2021. What do we have for E3 2021? And then you're showcasing these things. Like, let's take Anthem as a situation where it was showcased as a beautiful game that was working, but it was just a piece of crap.
Yeah.
So I feel like a developer getting the chance to be able to tell their story and present what they're working on when they can, when it's ready, is more impactful than being forced to put out something just to keep the stock prices up, keep shareholders happy, and show that we're competing. But then using those cons as a place to publicly test and showcase what you've actually been working on by giving people a chance to play something, I think that kind of hybrid strategy might be what we're moving towards. Because cons,
I like that.
Cons do much more than also showcase the developers. It's also a place for people to meet and interact. People who have been gaming for years, for decades, can finally like, hey, I finally have enough money to go to PAX East. Can you do that this year?
Yeah.
Oh, we can do that this year. Oh, we're going to go to PAX East? Hell yeah. Or like local artists or artists in those communities get a chance to open up booths and sell their merch and things that they've been working on related to those games.
Oh yeah, Artist Alley's
or
so
like
fun. Content
creators coming and making connections with people, like the developers and things like that, getting introduced and forging those connections. So things like that. Like there's no replacement for that. Like I think sometimes there's only so much you can do online. Sometimes there's only so much you could do online. Like
well, interestingly enough, I think the way you're what you're proposing as a possibility for the future would be more viable for the companies, as well as giving us a better picture. And then on top of that, they can choose venues that are a little easier to fund because they don't have to have that giant stage for this huge reveal. They could just have booths where Ubisoft can be, play testing or doing a small showcase of the next, the next Assassin's Creed game that they were able to bring on their own time frame to that con, whatever it is at whatever time of year. I like it. I like that a lot. I was a little wary when we first talked about it. I was like, man, I feel like I'm going to be like on the opposite side of this where I'm going to say, this sucks. I hate it. But I think this is really cool.
Yeah, it's like, because we just had Devolver Digital like just now, like maybe an hour or two, like a few hours ago, Glenn, from when we're recording, they did their whole thing. They did their press conference, virtual press conference, and they put out something called Devolver Land or something like that, which is basically a free-to-play game on Steam that's... I fucking love Devolver Digital and their lore that they've built through their press conferences. If you have a chance to watch them, they're not very long. And like the story they tell is fantastic. But basically they put out this free game that's like an abandoned amusement park that is a advertisement for all their games. It is so fucking awesome. Like they're so like meta and so gimmicky and so memey, but it's done so well. So you basically load it into this game and you have advertisements and rides, I think, based on all the other games that they own, that they make or publish or develop. So they made a game to advertise themselves, but it's like fully like walkthroughable and shit like that.
It's like PlayStation Home. Except better.
And so we've got Ubisoft coming later this month. And they tease something for Far Cry, I believe. And it's got Giancarlo, the guy from Breaking Bad, who is the owner of El Pollo Loco.
I don't know. I've never seen Breaking Bad.
Great actor.
It's one of my television cinematography sins. Not watching Breaking Bad.
It's a little hard to get into. It's pretty slow. Each season's always a little slow to get into, and then it picks up towards the end, but then it goes back to being slow. It's a little challenging to...
That's the problem. I know that it's good. Too many people say that it's good, and it's too... critically acclaimed to not watch, but I'm just like, man.
It was the same thing with Stranger
I don't want
Things.
to.
100% how you're feeling about Breaking Bad is me about Stranger Things.
Have you still not watched it?
I've still not watched it because you should watch Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Watch it. I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it. It's
Yeah.
fine. But Breaking Bad is it is good, but then it is difficult to watch sometimes. It's a long wind up, and then it
Bitch.
long wind up. It bursts, and then it slows all the way down again. Anyways,
That's a line. That's a funny line that Jesse Pinkman says, right?
Yeah.
Pinkman?
Yes, Pinkman.
Pinkman.
Science, bitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they teased something about Far Cry. We know Microsoft's doing something on the 14th or the 15th because they teased something about Halo.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So like, they're
the only series that they have to really back themselves on anymore.
Gears of War. Gears of War and Halo.
Gears of War is good, but I just don't think that it has the more widespread.
That's true. I would say it's more cult-like.
Longevity.
It's more cult-like, which is what's like. That's the only reason I bought my Xbox was Gears of War and Halo.
Yeah.
But enough people like Gears of War where it's not super cult, but it's still kind of cult.
Yeah.
But Halo does have that wider reach, and I'm very excited for Halo. I keep fucking dropping things today. I'm very excited for Halo Infinite whenever that comes out because I love the Halo series. Anyways, so like we're seeing that happen. Nintendo Direct has, I think, been a testament of, my idea or what I was proposing working because I believe they usually have some sort of physical presence. They just don't do the conferences. So, yeah, like I think that's kind of the direction we're moving in, but it's going to be sad to see, like, it's essentially the end of an era, but which makes sense because we didn't, I think we talked about this, like they didn't have the technology they do like they do now back then.
Right.
You had to go to these and wait for news articles to come out so you could learn about what happened if you'd missed it. You couldn't live stream it, so you had to like just wait and see. But then now you can just see that at any time, especially if they go online. It's accessible by anybody anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I think after talking about it a little, I think it's a wonderful idea just because it's kind of like the whole thing with people working from home all across the world, and they're like, no, it's not going to be viable. It's a change of pace. People won't be held accountable. And what they're finding more often than not is that it actually works really well and it costs them less money.
Yeah.
So why do we have to resist that?
Right.
If it works better and it costs less money and we're still productive, we're still going to get to see the new games. We're still going to get to play test them at cons because that's still available. Why wouldn't?
Because people don't like change.
Step?
And also cons probably bring in money.
But if it's a good change, but you don't have to rent as much of because like that's one of the big things when you have those giant things, there's so much money that goes into the production of it. Like,
but then the tickets, like, have you ever looked at like PAX tickets?
That's fair.
Like that will cut severely into the cost that companies have to spend because they'll get reimbursed for some of that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know about whether there's any monetary incentive for like the higher ups and the executives because they'll be losing out maybe on their own personal paycheck. But I think for the developers, the actual people coding the game, it might be something that's a little healthier because there's there'll still be crunch time, but this was eliminating one possible source of crunch.
Right. Because then they can just, they can go and release it whenever they want through their own thing in their own house. And then they can just go to the cons like they were planning on. And, there is when you play. Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. Get the assholes at the top that are trying to just pad their own paychecks. You make millions of dollars a year. I'm sorry you can't buy another yacht.
Money runs the world.
Dude.
I did want to say one thing, and this is not related to the topic of the show because I just remembered. Did you see the last announcement from Nintendo about a new Pokemon game?
No. A new game?
It's not a main series game, but I'm very conflicted about it because.
Is it like Pokemon Go-esque, but it looks like fun?
No. Could you what would be your wildest guess at a genre of Pokemon game that you wouldn't expect to come out?
Like a puzzle Pokemon game.
I'm sure I think there is a puzzle Pokemon game that exists. I'll give you one more guess before I tell you what it is.
A Pokemon RPG game where you are the Pokemon.
That's Mystery
and you have to level up your skills. Damn it.
They announced a Pokemon MOBA, Glenn.
Like League of Legends with Pokemon?
I didn't see too much of it because the thought honestly disgusts me, but something like that. Yeah. They announced a Pokemon MOBA a few weeks ago. I haven't looked too much into it.
DC did that. DC did that as well.
Oh, yeah?
Where they had classic DC heroes and villains, and you'd go up against each other in a very, Dota, League of Legends style map race, and you tried to take objectives and stuff. So,
I mean, it makes sense that it would work because champions Pokemon, so like you could have a...
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, why?
Well, I thought the point of Nintendo always was to try to keep people playing games in the room with each other, though.
I don't know.
That's like always been like my friends that are diehard Nintendo people are like, yeah, they're great because they make stuff that we can play together. And like, that's why they don't sell Nintendo licensed headsets and stuff like that, because they don't want you playing online. Well, they want you playing in the room with your friends and your family.
Remember, Pokemon is owned by 3 companies. You've got Nintendo, Game Freak, and the Pokemon Company.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyways, they announced a Pokemon MOBA, and god damn it, Glenn, it might be the first MOBA that I willingly try from scratch.
Oh, man.
But I doubt I'm going to do that.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why is because they found market-wise that the people that love Pokemon are the least likely to play MOBAs.
Imagine
but MOBAs make so much money. So, well, I mean, think about it. It's free to play, but I know people who have spent thousands of dollars on that game.
Even Valorant. Valorant put out a bunch of new skins. Did you see them by any chance? It's called the Elder Series, and it's basically a dragon. Like each of the guns are dragons, and so it's quite literally the barrel of the rifle is like a dragon, and it's got like the claws and stuff. And when you reload, it spits out its cartridge, and when you go to give it to him, the dragon turns around, grabs it out of your hands, and eats it.
And what is this?
This is on Valorant because Riot, right? So
that's awesome.
Oh no, it's it's awesome. But do you know how much that bundle costs, Glenn?
$35.
$100. $50.
Oh, that's dumb.
$50 is for one skin. One specific skin, because you can either buy it individually or as a bundle. $50.
Well, they have those in League too. Prestige skins. You end up paying like $50 to $100 depending on the skin.
It's not $50 per individual skin. No. There's one skin specifically that's $50, and that's the knife. Because it's a flame blade, like it's this molten magma blade, and it's dope as shit. But it's for that skin itself is $50, and for the whole bundle it's $100 for this dragon for you to hold a dragon that's alive and shoots like bullets or fire or whatever, and then it comes alive when you have to reload and inspect it or whatever. It's really cool. It's so cool, but it's so just fucking pricey,
of money for
dude.
A little skin pack, yeah.
But this is the ideal form. Still, putting aside prices, ideal form of microtransactions because it's purely cosmetic and doesn't affect gameplay.
Right. It is. Yeah, and the company can still stay in business and people can still play it and never spend a cent. Yes. I'm that way. I think I've spent money on the Galaxy Pass. That's the only thing I spent money on. Otherwise, RP was gifted to me or skins have been gifted to me. Or I got skins in like random Hextech boxes and stuff like that. So in that way, I think they do give away. I don't know. I'm really a big fan of the way Riot does things.
But I think we're going to wrap up here. We're going to go right on to game releases. Glenn, do you want to cover game releases?
I love game releases since I'm a big fan of all these games. I've only heard of like 4 of them. Yeah. Okay. Wait. That's got to be it. Okay. We have first. So this is for July, the week of July 13th, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The first one on the list is Professor Layton and the Unwound Future HD, coming out on July 3rd. It's for iOS.
This is a port of a Nintendo DS game that came out in 2008 from the Professor Layton series, which is a action puzzle game series.
I was going to ask, why is it included? We never include iOS games because it's a port from a console. Yes. Got it. Okay. Then next is Death Stranding, coming out on July 14th on PC.
The big game. Yeah. Wait. This is the one that Tyler was playing. He was known as the Great Connector. This is Hideo's...
Oh, it's finally getting its PC port.
This is the PC port, yes. Hideo Kojima's PC port. And sometime later this summer, we don't have a release date yet, should also be Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh.
Yeah. It was...
Big robot dinosaurs, right?
It was titled for the summer. We just don't have the actual date yet, so hopefully sometime soon. Okay. But yes, Death Stranding is now on PC. Is going to be on PC.
Okay, that's good. On July 14th, which is, I believe, it's next Tuesday, something like that. Yes. So that's really cool. That's awesome. And then Halo 3 is getting its PC port on July 14th.
Yes.
Is that Combat Evolved? Halo 3 Combat Evolved?
No, the Combat Evolved is the first one. This is just Halo 3, and it's...
Just Halo 3?
Yeah, this is the part of the Master Chief Collection that they're releasing to PC in waves, because Master Chief Collection was already on Xbox. And so this is their PC ports finally that they're bringing.
Wait, but I thought you could already play that just through the Microsoft Store on your PC.
No. So...
So Master Chief Collection was just Halo 1 and 2 then?
No, Master Chief Collection was all the Halos with Master Chief, but only on Xbox. The Master Chief Collection recently came to PC, but it was launching in waves. Like the games were coming out in waves. So last year it started with Reach. Then we got Halo 1 and 2, like throughout the last few months. And so we're getting 3 now. So I think they're building up to, Infinite. Okay. I think by the time we get to Infinite, we would have had Halo 5 come out finally, because next we've got Halo 4 and Halo 5.
What a smart move if that's the case. Just like bringing up nostalgia and hype and releasing them in chronological orders until Halo Infinite releases.
That's what I think is going to happen. Based on the amount of time we have left and how much time in between releases, I don't know if that's the case, but I hope that that's the case. Because Halo Infinite should be touted for November, like is supposed to come out in November, and it's taken them this long since last November to get Halo 3, and we still have 2 more games, putting aside ODST. So hopefully we get to Infinite, we get to Halo 5 before Infinite comes out. But if not,
wait, so you have an Xbox, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you think that they will try and do a PC port quicker for Halo Infinite?
Well, we know Halo Infinite's launching Play Anywhere, so you can buy it either on PC. We know that.
Good.
Yeah. No, I think they confirmed that early
I was really stoked about, like, because I'm not a huge Halo guy, as we can tell. I was like, Combat Evolved, the third one, right? I'm not a huge Halo guy, but I do admire the series for what it was, and I had some pretty great memories with it. So that makes me happy. Good. Awesome. Halo. The next one that is coming out is called Neon Abyss. It is coming out on July 14th on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch. A nice cross-platform game that we can look forward to.
Yeah, it's a roguelite action platformer where you run and gun your way into the abyss. It looks interesting. It's got funky colors and it's very kind of 8-bit-like, but yeah, it's a roguelite.
Okay, roguelite games are great.
Oh yeah.
Like, what's it called? What's that really big roguelike game that I super, super enjoy? And I bought it on my phone. I bought it on my iPad. I have it on my computer. I don't remember what it's called right now. Whatever. No, I can't remember it. It's fine. It's the one where you're in a ship and you're trying to cross the galaxy and get away from, like, bad guys that are trying to catch you. FTL, yeah. Yes. Faster Than Light. There it is. That's part of the reason why I forget all the time, is because it's called FTL by the community, but it's Faster Than Light in my head. Yeah. And so then somebody goes FTL and I go, oh, yeah, Faster Than Light. Yeah. Great. The next one that's coming out is Rocket Arena, coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC on July 14th. Is that... It's
a third-person shooter. Yes? No, it's a third-person shooter online video game made by Final Strike Games and published by EA. honestly hadn't heard about this, and I've been seeing a bunch of creators on my timeline say that they've been working with Final Strike on this, and they're partnered to do like sponsored streams and stuff. So to me, this seems to have just come out of nowhere, honestly. So I haven't even seen graphics or anything of it. So just looking forward to seeing what happens to it when it comes out.
Huh. Yeah, and maybe the timeline got pushed ahead because of COVID and stuff like that. So the next one we have is Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town. July 14th, PC and Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, this one's...
Is this a JRPG?
Kind of. It is.
Kind of?
It is. Have you heard of Harvest Moon?
Yes.
So this is a Harvest Moon game. I guess.
Oh.
I guess Story of Seasons might be its Japanese name, maybe. But this is a remake of a Harvest Moon game called Harvest Moon: Friends of Mineral Town that came out for the Game Boy Advance in 2003.
Okay.
So I think this is just
That's actually really wonderful
remake. Let me just
a little remaster for the new generation.
Looks like it, and the art style seems to be kind of consistent, but also a little different. But this seems to be a remaster, basically.
I love it. The next one we have is coming out on July 16th, called Beyond a Steel Sky on only PC. I imagine it is an airborne fighting game based on the an aerial combat game.
A groundbreaking 3D adventure thriller set in an AI-driven future. Subvert the world, hack the systems, and solve the conspiracy to uncover the devastating truths. Seems like think Cyberpunk-esque, walled-off city, large skyscrapers, everything neon, and outside of it is like desert and barren. That's what I'm just seeing from this quick trailer here. The art style seems really cool.
Like Fahrenheit 451.
This is from Charles Cecil, creator of the Broken Sword series, with art direction by Dave Gibbons, legendary comic book artist behind Watchmen. Comes Beyond Steel Sky, the long-awaited sequel to the cult classic Beneath the Steel Sky.
Huh. Sounds like it could actually be really awesome. Nice little sleeper. Especially now that, we all wanted that. We're all missing our Cyberpunk fix, so maybe this will be a nice tide over.
Yes. Oh my goodness, Cyberpunk.
In the meantime,
please, now.
I want to play it so bad. Give me the Cyberpunk. All right, the next one is Super Hot Mind Control Delete, coming out on July 6th. Sorry, that name got me for some reason. Coming out on July 16th on PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Have you ever played or seen gameplay of Super Hot?
No.
Super Hot is really great because think of it like you're in a training simulation, so everybody's just kind of like crash test dummies, and the world is not colored. It's just kind of like you'll see the objects, but there's no colors in it, and the enemies are in red. And every time you move, things slow down, I think. Or you don't move, things slow down. It's a really cool action series, and I believe this is a DLC for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
okay. Mind Control Delete.
Yeah, so you stand in the center of... I'm reading off the thing. You stand in the center of a firefight. A hail of slow-motion bullets is inching slowly towards your face. You see bright red enemies frozen in place as they run towards you, weapons in hand. They're stepping over the shattered remains of the foes you just dispatched. Everything is sharp, silent, and still. Light flickers in the red crystal shards coating the cold concrete floor around you. There's a gun slowly turning in flight right in front of you. An enemy must have dropped it as their dying body exploded in a shower of brilliant red shrapnels. So you go exploring the world and going like like slow motion, normal pace. And that's in between is when you kill people and you die in one hit. So it's essentially kind of like a puzzle game that you keep playing over until you like.
Is this a VR game?
There is a VR version, yes.
Okay, because I definitely have seen the guys at Node play through a game that sounds just like this.
It's really cool. I saw somebody playing through it. It's really fucking cool.
I've got PlayStation VR, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I really want to try out Iron Man VR. But anyway, the next game is a game that I've heard about, but I don't really know much about. Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima. Coming out on PS4. It's an exclusive, at least for now.
Published by Sony Interactive, so I don't expect it to be non-exclusive at any point.
Yeah.
Developed by Sucker Punch, the same people who did the Infamous series and early Sly Cooper, Sly 2,
Oh, you
Sly
mean
3.
Big Electric Guy?
Yes, Big Electric Guy. Same
Big scary
Infamous.
electric guy?
Ghost of
I actually really
Tsushima was
liked
that
it. I
really
liked him.
pretty samurai game that they showcased 2 years ago with like the really beautiful feels and like the really intense, focused combat scenarios.
Yeah.
So that's finally getting its release, and people are excited. They're ecstatic.
Yeah. Is it kind of going to be in the vein of a Dark Souls level sort of game where it's like a challenge through combat and good graphics, but not like a compelling story? Or
I don't think so. This, from what I've seen, this looks like it's based. It's more story focused.
okay,
I actually don't know. I couldn't tell you. So I guess we wait for the gameplay to come out. It didn't seem like a Soul series kind of game. It seemed like, to me, if you've ever played any of the Prince of Persia series from like Sands of Time, Two Thrones, and Warrior Within, and then they transitioned to the Prince of Persia reboot in 2008, where it was so focused on one-on-one combat, that's what this seemed like to me. There was like just a very focus on intimate battle scenarios. It didn't seem like large amounts of people, but I could be misremembering details from the trailers. Maybe I'm missing out. There were actually group battles, but it's meant to be action stealth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I dig it. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Cool. And then the last thing on our list, a lot of releases this week, is Paper Mario: The Origami King, coming out on July 17th Nintendo Switch. Is this just a Paper Mario port from another system?
No, this is a brand new Paper Mario game. This is one we were talking about that Tyler was excited for. Yeah, because they just dropped the announcement out of nowhere, like I think a month and a half ago or a month ago or something, that the new Paper Mario is coming out, and it looks really cool. Comes out, this on the 17th. People are definitely excited for it.
Yeah. Heck yeah. That's really cool. Well, that is all of our releases. What about release? What about This Day in Gaming, Nick? I think there's one from you and one from me.
Yeah, This Day in Gaming from July 13th. First on the list is Octopath Traveler. Came out in 2018 for the Nintendo Switch initially. This is a beautiful turnstile-based RPG game with what we talked about was high HD 2D graphics, because there was like, it's side-scroller, like top-down, sometimes 2D graphics, but it's got volumetric and dynamic lighting, so it feels like things pop despite it being flat in HD. So that's why we call it they call it HD 2D or 2D HD. Okay. It's a beautiful looking game because it's also 8-bit, and then the combat is pretty complicated and intuitive, but the story is great. So that came out 2018 on this day, July 13th. So happy birthday, Octopath Traveler. And do you want to tell us about the second one here?
Yeah, the second one is something I included because of I feel it has I don't know. It's important to me because it ended up relating to something that I ended up doing. It's called Warhammer 40K Kill Team.
Nice.
The Xbox 360 version was released, and I don't think that Kill Team was a thing in the actual 40K game yet. And they play tested a little bit of some of the mechanics with this game, and now it is a format in actual tabletop play. So I guess I forgot to copy when it came out, like what year, but it came out on July 13th. So it didn't, I forgot to select the day. Oh crap. Now I'm going to feel bad.
It's 2011.
I don't know what day it's 2011. There we go. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. So happy 9th birthday to Warhammer 40K.
Yay. Yay. And I think that's going to be it for the show.
Love it.
Yeah, Glenn, where could people find you?
You can find me on Twitch at Glenn Houston. Glenn with 2 N's looks like Huston, and also on Twitter. Or sorry, oh my God, Twitter is Glenn Houston. Glenn with 2 N's looks like Houston, Huston. Oh my gosh, my words. And then on Twitch you can find me at Razeth. That's RAEZETH.
Nice. You can find our co-host partner who's not here today, Tyler, at 2xTyler, all letters, on Twitter. And whenever he does stream, it's usually right here. Well, I'm saying right here as we're live, but on Casual Master Quest on Twitch. You can find me on Twitch at LR11, all letters, Twitter at LR the 11th, also all letters, and Instagram as well as LR11. The show, Casual Master Quest, can be found on Twitter at CMQ Network, where you'll have a link that'll take you to wherever we are on the interwebs, from Spotify to iTunes to Google Podcasts. You'll also take you to our Discord server, where we have conversations and random miscellaneous safe for work, not safe for work hijinks. You can email us with any kind of questions, comments, concerns at casualmasterquest@gmail.com. We also have a show, a D&D podcast called Casual Quest Masters, that is also on the same feed for Casual Master Quest. It's titled as Casual Quest Masters, and we just put out episode 37, where we started a brand new season and a whole new story arc. So look forward to that as we build this beautiful and lovely story going around through Faerun. But beyond that, anything else before we wrap up here, Glenn?
No, I think that's great.
Cool.
Just come hang out. Listen to our stuff. Hang out with us. We're cool people.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you all. Hope you're all staying safe. Remember to wear a fucking mask, because it's not fucking hard. Just wear the mask. Just do it.
Just wear the mask.
Be nice to each other. And we'll see you next week. Thank you very much for listening. This is Casual Master Quest episode 107. And don't forget to never stop the grind. Bye-bye.
Bye.